The intervention that I have chosen is technology-based intervention. What is intervention? In education, we refer to it as instructional intervention. And this is what we as teachers would use to help our struggling learners and measure their progress. Interventions would use a specific program or set of steps to target an academic need. We would often use these to help learners who have trouble with reading and math. This intervention, that's technology-based intervention for children with reading difficulties, was chosen so as to make learning more fun because our learners now are more familiar and have gadgets that they use on a daily basis. And they find it to be much more fun. They are more familiar with all the apps and programs that these gadgets would come with. And it's also for the other learners who may not be too familiar with these gadgets, they would find it fascinating. Now, there are many apps and programs that can be utilized to enhance the teaching and learning of the 5 literacy skills: phonics, phonemic awareness, comprehension, reading comprehension, vocabulary, among a few. Now, during this research, I have found that there are many apps, many programs that can be utilized and that we as teachers can also use to enhance our traditional teaching methods by tapping into what these children already have, such as their tablets, their phones, computers, iPads, and other such gadgets. I have found in my research that the use of these apps have been tested, piloted in Canadian schools, but we would also see it on a daily basis where young children, very young children to older children would use these on a daily basis, where parents would download word games and other apps on the children's tablets as form of entertainment. For example, word game, snakes and ladders using word, the text-to-speech, the speech-to-text program, which is already on computers, on laptops. And these can be used much more to enhance traditional teaching methods by using what the children already have. And also to build the reading confidence of struggling learners. They would be much more comfortable using these gadgets because, our peers or their peers would laugh if they make a mistake. Whereas while using these apps, the gadget may not laugh and they would have more chances to do it again, to try again. So that is why using this intervention is very good. In my classroom, I have at least 2 struggling readers and who find it a challenge to read and to write in any lesson. And they would get bored easily, but what I find is that they can spend hours on a phone or tablet to play games. So I would encourage them and/or their parents to download educational games, word games that can help them to spell, that can help them to read, that can help them to do whatever they have to do based on the school. There are social studies. It can be used for social studies. And at the end, there are assessments that can test the level. They would see the results, which can motivate them to do much more. And I would recommend this for use by all primary school teachers because in every class we have struggling readers. So every primary school teacher should or must be familiar with these apps and how we can use them to teach remedial classes or to teach in the general classroom for at least 15 minutes a day, 5 days a week. However, I do see that this intervention is not without limitation and challenges, as I can foresee some teachers not being interested and would claim lack of knowledge and have little or no training on how to use these apps and programs in the classroom. Another challenge that would be for our children, especially in the rural areas or the hinterland areas as we refer to it in Guyana, that they would not have power source where they can recharge their devices, or some of them would use out the battery before the class, and so they would not have sufficient battery life when it comes to having to actually use this. Another challenge, that if the devices would become damaged or broken either by mistake or negligence, that can also become a challenge, as that would hinder the learning growth of the learner. In conclusion, I would say using technology-based intervention is good. It's a very good intervention, excellent perhaps, as most learners are familiar with the features, and the teachers too can use those apps to enhance their teaching strategies. They can do research on similar apps and programs that would cater to building especially the 5 literacy skills, and use technology-based intervention for all their classes. At the end of it, the learner and the teacher would have a feeling of accomplishment when they see progress. So this is not without limitation, and I strongly recommend that we as teachers and my fellow teachers use these. So I'm going to give you some examples of some apps that we can use and that have been developed and examined by researchers. For phonemic awareness, we would have the educational iPad app, which is WordDriver 1, that addresses phonological awareness. Students would be asked to play grapheme-phoneme correspondence game. They read words and non-words at different stages and difficulties, and match words and letters with pictures. The researchers for this is Siller et al. In 2019. And they have developed measures and standardized tests that would assess the students' decoding accuracy and efficiency. And results from that study have indicated a significant improvement in non-word reading. This is can be especially applicable to the lower grades, grades 1, grades 2. In phonics, one that really stood out to me would be the Chasimo, that ICALI in 2013 would have conducted the effect of the computer programs that aimed at improving word reading and reading comprehension. Now, this program is designed or was designed for graphosyllabic intervention. In this program, students first would listen to a syllable, Then they would see the syllable that was all on screen. Then they would hear a word, and then they would be given the word. Students can be asked to select a number that correctly represents the order of syllables in the word. Another program is the oppositions phonologics. And this too is designed for graphophonemic intervention, where students would listen to a word, select corresponding word, and reading comprehension. For fluency, we have apps such as Read Naturally software That was examined by Gibson et al. 2011-2014. It is a text-to-speech program that allows students to read and listen to text to enhance their fluency and comprehension skills. The researchers would have trained students to use the program and started the intervention. First, the program would display and read keywords and their definition. What the students would have to do, read a story aloud and click on any word that they cannot read so that the computer can read the word out aloud instead. So after the students have finished reading, the computer would have calculated their correct word per minute and move on to the next story or ask them to read the same story again if they did not meet the criteria. They would have all of those to do. For vocab, there is the Vocabulators, which is a computer program that was designed to teach academic vocabulary and integrate them in comprehension exercises. For comprehension, there is the effect of using Comprehension Booster program, which addresses fluency and comprehension in reading and understanding text at different levels of difficulty. This program presents and reads passages supported by pictures and definitions of difficult words. We can also use multi-apps such as Build, Read, Write, Type, Quick Reads. All of these have been examined and tested by the researchers. So all in all, I can say that these things are not without limitation, as I have mentioned before, but if implications for future research is that it should be done, or we can do that in a specified area so that we can have better results so as to deliver content, curriculum content to our learners more effectively and more efficiently. And I do find that this intervention, technology-based intervention, is very good. For example, we're teaching them at a tender age to be able to use and manipulate devices so that when they grow older, they would already have that experience, so it would not hinder them, especially if they go to secondary schools, university, because we all know that we live in a technological age, and they should not be left behind because they would now be doing that on their own. So technology-based intervention is the way to go to teaching literacy, to teaching our children to build their literacy skills in the 5 areas. So we're gonna have learners who are fluent and literate.